How did one jealous neighbor turn my private choices into a public problem the day I got served in a building lobby? Why did my husband stay calm for months, then show up with proof I could not talk my way out of? What did he file that made the rules change the same day I laughed and said he was overreacting? My name is Melisande Quill, and I used to say I was a good wife. I said it with a straight face. I said it even when I looked at my own choices and knew they were not clean. In my head, I had rules that made me feel safe. If Ethan worked late, I said the marriage was already broken. If he did not notice my hair, I said he did not deserve my loyalty. If I felt lonely, I said it was his fault for leaving me alone. That day started like any other weekday. The kitchen smelled like toast and dish soap. Milo sat at the table with his homework sheet. Sadie dragged a stuffed rabbit across the floor. I moved around fast, like speed could hide guilt. I wiped the counter 2 times even though it was already clean. Ethan stood by the sink with his work bag. He wore the same calm face he always wore before a shift. He asked if I had slept well. I said yes, even though I had not. He asked why I was up so early. I said I wanted to be productive. I did not say I was nervous. I did not say I was counting hours like they were a secret door. His phone buzzed. He looked at it and sighed in a way that felt like a judgment. He said a job ran long, and he would probably be out late again. I made my mouth pull into a concerned shape. I said I understood. I said he was a good provider. I said I was proud. It was a good performance. I learned how to act sweet when I needed space to do what I wanted. Milo asked if Dad would be home for dinner. Ethan said he would try. Milo nodded like he was used to trying. That small nod should have made me stop. It did not. I told myself kids adapt. I told myself I was not hurting them. I told myself Ethan's long hours hurt them more. Ethan walked to the door and I followed him. I watched him tie his boots. I watched him check the lock like he always did. He asked why I was dressed nicer than usual. It was not even noon, and I'd put on makeup and a fitted sweater. I smiled like it was normal. I said I had a video call and I needed to look professional. He glanced at me again. He asked what kind of call. I said it was a new training at work. He did not argue. That was the problem. When he did not argue, I could not use it. When he did not raise his voice, I could not tell people he was mean. He just said, "Okay," then looked at Milo's paper and told him to keep trying on the hard words. Then he kissed Sadie's forehead, very gentle, and left. I stood in the hallway and listened to his car start. The sound faded down the street. The house got quieter, but my mind got louder. I felt that familiar rush, like I was stepping off a ledge and calling it freedom. I checked my phone. Brandon Pike had sent a short message. He said he could come by around 2. He added a smiley face like we were teenagers. I stared at it and felt both power and fear. I told myself it was not serious. I told myself it was just attention. I told myself Ethan had left me first. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible stories. I walked to the window and looked outside. Across the street, Nora Hensley's blinds moved a little. She always said she cared about safety in the neighborhood. She loved rules and meetings. She loved saying she saw things. Sometimes she waved too hard at Ethan when he came home, like she wanted him to notice her. Ethan always nodded politely and kept walking. I told myself she hated me because she wanted my life. I told myself jealousy made people cruel. My mum called as I was loading the dishwasher. Darlene Quill asked how I was doing. I said I was tired and unappreciated. She said a woman should not waste her best years waiting for a man to wake up. She said Ethan had me on a shelf like a nice plate. I liked how that sounded. It made me feel like a victim, not a liar. Cara, my sister, sent a message right after. She asked if Ethan was still working late. I said yes. She asked if I was okay. I told her I was fine and she should stop worrying. She sent back a warning, saying secrets always spill. I rolled my eyes. I told myself Kara liked acting wise, because it made her feel above me. Around 1, I made the kids snacks. Milo asked why I was on my phone so much. I said I had work messages. Sadie wanted to play, and I told her we would play soon. I put on a cartoon and sat them on the couch. I hate admitting that. I can blame Ethan for being gone, but I was also right there, choosing my screen over my kids. I still tell myself it was only for a little while. I went to the laundry room and listened for outside sounds. I felt ridiculous, like a thief in my own home. I also felt excited, like I was smarter than everyone else. That mix made me bold. At 1:30, Ethan sent a text. He said the job might finish early and he could possibly be home before 5. My chest tightened. I stared at the words until they blurred. I told myself he was doing it on purpose. I told myself he was trying to trap me. In reality, he was just working. I typed back fast. I said I hoped he came home early because the kids missed him. That was true, but it was also a shield. I needed him to feel like the good guy in that moment, so he would not question me later. I hated that my mind worked like that. I also felt proud of it. I opened the shared calendar on the tablet. Ethan had a block on Friday that said, "Meeting personal." It was new. He had not told me about it. I stared at it and felt a sting of anger, like he was hiding something too. I told myself that made us equal. I told myself it was proof I was not the only one with secrets. I did not stop to think that his personal meeting could be anything normal. At 2, Brandon arrived in a dark jacket like he wanted to blend in. I did not let him ring the front bell. I texted him to go to the side gate. I moved fast, keeping my feet quiet. The hallway felt longer than usual. The house felt like it was watching me. Before I opened the side door, I looked out again. Nora's window was still. Then her curtain shifted. My face got hot. I told myself she was imagining things. I told myself she had no right to watch my house. I told myself this was my private life. Brandon stepped inside. He asked if I was sure. I said yes, and I said I deserved a little happiness. He said Ethan could come home any time. I told him Ethan never came home early. I said it like a fact, like I owned Ethan's schedule. I heard how cruel that sounded, but I kept going. We stayed near the kitchen and spoke in low voices. He asked if I felt guilty. I said guilt was a tool people use to control women. He laughed softly, like I was brave. That laugh fed me. I hated how much I needed it. Then a small chime sounded from my phone. It was the porch camera app. It said a clip had been saved. I froze with my hand still on the counter, and I felt the whole house tilt under my feet. The saved clip sat on my screen like a stain. I did not open it right away. I told myself it was nothing. I told myself cameras caught shadows and cats and delivery people. Brandon asked what it was. I said it was just an app alert and it always did that. He asked if someone saw him. I said nobody watched my house like that, but my hands were not steady. I checked the driveway through the blinds. Nora's yard looked normal. Her garden hose lay in a neat line, like it was placed for a photo. Her front window was too still. I felt the pressure of being watched, even if I could not prove it. Brandon asked if he should go. I said no, because I hated the idea of fear controlling me. I said I refused to live like a prisoner. In my head, I turned my bad choice into a brave choice. I made Brandon leave a little later through the same side gate. I wiped the counter again, too hard, like I could erase time. I picked up toys and put them back in the same bin they came from. Milo asked why I was cleaning so much. I said I wanted the house to feel nice. Sadie asked if Dad was coming. I said maybe, and I said Dad had adult work. When the kids were busy, I opened the saved clip. It showed the side path and the gate. It caught Brandon's shoulder and the back of his head. It caught me stepping aside like I was letting him in for a normal reason. The timestamp was clear. My throat went tight. I told myself I could explain it. I told myself Ethan would never check the camera. I told myself he did not care enough. Then Ethan texted again. He said the job turned messy and he would be late after all. My body loosened, and I hated that relief. I stared at his message and felt anger rise. I told myself he did not deserve my worry. I told myself his lateness gave me permission. I felt proud, like I had handled my day better than he handled his. The next morning, I went to the office early. The open-plan floor smelled like coffee and printer toner. I liked work because it gave me a costume. At work, I could be responsible. At home, I had to look at my choices. Brandon walked by my desk and acted normal. He asked if I was okay. I said I was fine. He asked if Ethan suspected anything. I said Ethan never noticed details. I meant it as an insult, but I said it like a complaint, like I was the neglected one. Brandon smiled and said I deserved someone who paid attention. I let that line settle in me like sugar. At lunch, I met Tessa and another co-worker in the break room. Tessa asked how married life was. I said Ethan was distant and always tired. She asked if he still tracked my phone. I said he used to ask too many questions. I did not tell her why he asked. I did not tell her about the camera clip. I needed her to see me as the cornered one. I needed my story to be simple. Tessa said a man who asked questions was a man who lacked trust. She said trust was earned by kindness, not demanded by vows. I nodded like she was giving me therapy. I told her Ethan made me feel small when he questioned me. I did not say I was lying. I said he was emotionally strict. It sounded better than I cheated. Around mid-afternoon, Ethan called. I did not answer at first. I watched the phone ring and felt power. Then I answered because I did not want him to worry enough to come home early. He asked if everything was okay. I said yes. He asked if I could pick up milk on the way home. I said sure. He asked why my location was not sharing. I swallowed. I said the app was glitchy. I said the update had messed it up. I said he was worrying over nothing. He got quiet. He asked when it stopped working. I said I did not know. He asked if I could turn it back on. I said I would later. Then I added that it felt strange to be watched. I said I needed space. I said he was acting controlling. He did not shout. He said he did not want to control me. He said he just liked knowing I was safe. That made me mad because it sounded reasonable. I said I was safe and he should focus on his job. He said okay, and the call ended. I sat there staring at my screen, irritated that he stayed calm. Later, I saw something on his shared computer folder when I logged into the family account to print a school form. There were neat folders labeled household, utilities, and bank. They looked new and organized. Ethan never used to do that. I felt a strange pinch of fear, like he was building a wall without telling me. I told myself it was nothing. I told myself he was finally being useful. That evening, Tessa dragged me to a rooftop wine bar downtown. The air was cold and sharp. String lights made everything look softer than it was. People laughed loud, like they were performing happiness. I wanted that. I wanted noise to cover my thoughts. Tessa took photos. She said I looked free. I said I had to be strong because Ethan was not present. She asked if Ethan was home with the kids. I said he was working again, and it was always like that. She posted a story with my face and a caption about wives doing it alone. I watched the hearts and replies pop up. Each one felt like a small stamp that said I was right. When Ethan texted asking how the kids were, I answered late on purpose. I said Milo had a good day and Sadie ate well. I added that I was tired of being the only parent who planned things. He replied that he wanted to plan the weekend together. I felt my stomach tighten again. A weekend together meant less space. Less space meant fewer lies. Tessa asked why I looked annoyed. I said Ethan was being needy. She laughed and said, men always got needy when women got confident. She asked if I had options. I did not answer directly. I just smiled, and that was enough for her to fill in the blanks. On the way back to my car, I checked my phone and saw a neighborhood notification. Nora had tagged me in a public post for a second, then it vanished. I had still seen the words. It was about strange visitors and family values. My face burned. I told myself she was obsessed with me. I told myself she was lonely and angry. I told myself she wanted my husband's attention and could not get it. I drove home with my hands tight on the wheel. The street was quiet. Ethan's car was not in the driveway yet. I walked in and found the kids already asleep. Ethan sat at the kitchen table with his laptop open. He looked up and asked if I had a nice night. I said yes, and I said I needed time with friends because I felt stressed. He nodded and asked if my location was working again. I said I forgot, and I said he should not make that a big deal. He said he was not making it a big deal. He said he just asked. I hated that he sounded reasonable again. Then I noticed a small sticky note by his laptop. It said, "Bring forms." He saw my eyes on it and closed the laptop with a soft click. He asked if I was tired. I said yes. He said we could talk tomorrow. I said fine, like I was doing him a favor, and I walked upstairs with my heart beating too fast. I woke up the next day with a dry mouth and a busy mind. Ethan moved around the bedroom without touching me. He did not slam doors. He did not sigh loud. That calm felt like a wall. I told myself he was doing it to punish me. I told myself I was the one trying to keep the marriage alive with effort. I did not say my effort was mostly acting. At breakfast, Milo asked why Dad's mug was on the other side of the counter. Ethan said he had been drinking coffee in the living room. I said it was because Dad liked his alone time. Ethan looked at me for half a second, then looked away. Sadie asked if we could go to the park later. Ethan said he had another shift. I said we could go without him, like I was making a brave choice. After Ethan left, I checked my phone and saw Noah's message. He asked if I wanted to meet at the gym. I told myself it was safe. I told myself a gym was public, so it could not be that bad. I told myself I was not bringing trouble into my home again. That was my new rule, like rules could fix a rotten thing. I dropped the kids at school and daycare, then drove to the gym. The parking lot smelled like wet asphalt. Inside, the lobby was bright and cold. The smoothie bar blender made a loud whine. Noah waved like he owned the place. He asked if I missed him. I said I had been busy. He asked if Ethan was still ignoring me. I said Ethan lived at work. We stood near the front desk and talked too close. I liked how easy it was. I liked how he listened to every word like it mattered. He asked if I wanted to come over later. I said no, and I said my house was complicated. He smiled and asked if I was afraid. I said I was not afraid. I said I just had to be smart. He asked if I felt guilty. I said guilt was for people who had time to judge. I said I was surviving. I heard myself and felt proud, like I had a philosophy. If I made it sound like survival, then I could call Ethan the danger. That was how my mind worked. When I got back to my car, my phone showed a missed call with no caller ID. It was only one ring, like someone wanted to leave a mark. My stomach tightened. I told myself it was spam. I told myself it was nothing. Still, I checked the neighborhood app, like I could catch a threat by staring at a screen. At home, I moved through the rooms and tried to see the house like a stranger would. The side gate latch looked slightly scratched, like it had been used. I blamed the wind. I blamed the kids. I blamed everything except my own choices. Around noon, Tessa messaged about a neighborhood community BBQ that evening. She said it would be fun and everyone would be there. She said it would be good for my image after Nora's little post. I liked that phrase. It reminded me I had a job to do. Control the story. Ethan came home late afternoon, earlier than I expected. He walked in with a tired face and a clean shirt, like he had changed at work. He asked how my day was. I said I'd been handling everything alone, as usual. He asked if I had gone to the store. I said I forgot because I had too much on my plate. He nodded and said he would go later. I watched him open his phone and tap through screens. I heard a soft beep, like a recording app starting or a timer. He put the phone face down. It could have been nothing, It could have been a normal setting. But my skin prickled. I told myself I was imagining things because I was stressed. I told myself Ethan did not have the courage to confront me anyway. He asked if we were still going to the BBQ. I said yes, and I said it would be nice for him to show up for once. He said, okay. He did not defend himself. That made me more angry, because I wanted a fight. A fight would give me proof I could show people. Calm gave me nothing. We drove to the park pavilion at 6. The air was sharp and smelled like charcoal. Kids ran in circles with sticky hands. Neighbors stood in small groups with plastic cups. The string lights were not even on yet, but it already felt like a stage. Nora was there early, wearing a bright sweater like she wanted to be noticed. She waved at Ethan first, not me. Ethan gave a polite nod and moved toward the grill. Nora's smile slipped for a second. I saw it. I stored it like a coin. I told myself she was angry because Ethan did not choose her. Tessa pulled me into a group. She asked loudly how I was doing. I said I was okay, but I said marriage could feel lonely when one person acted like work was a wife. People laughed in that careful way, like they were watching a show. I saw heads turn. I felt the warm rush of attention. Ethan came back with 2 plates. He handed one to Milo and one to Sadie. He asked me if I wanted one. I said I could get my own. I said it like he had insulted me. He paused, then set the plate on the table anyway. He did not argue. Tessa leaned in and asked why he was being so quiet. I said he always did that when he wanted to look like the good guy. I said he used silence to punish me. I left out how many times I used words to punish him. I did not call it punishment when I did it. I called it honesty. Later, someone suggested a toast. Tessa pushed a cup into my hand and said I should say something. I felt my chest rise like I was about to sing. I stood up, smiled, and looked around at the faces. I saw Nora watching hard. I saw Ethan standing near the kids, calm and still. I said I wanted to toast the strong women who kept homes running. I said some husbands thought bringing money was the same as bringing love. I said I hoped everyone learned to value what they had before it was gone. People nodded like I was speaking truth. I felt powerful. I felt clean for a moment, like words could wash away actions. Ethan did not interrupt. He did not roll his eyes. He just turned his head slightly, like he was listening and taking it in. That look made me uneasy. It did not look like shame. It looked like memory. As the crowd clapped, Nora leaned close to 2 neighbors. I saw her point across the street direction, like she was showing them where I lived. One woman's face tightened. A man's eyebrows lifted. Then they both looked at Ethan. It was quick, but it felt sharp. I walked closer, pretending I needed napkins. Nora's voice dropped low. She said something about patterns and respect. She said something about the camera caught it. I felt my blood rush in my ears. I wanted to grab her arm and shake her, but I did not. I stayed smiling. I stayed polite. That was the kind of control I was good at. Ethan's phone buzzed once in his pocket. Not a long ring, just a short vibration. He pulled it out, glanced at the screen, and put it away. His face changed in a small way, like a door closed behind his eyes. He walked toward Milo and asked if he wanted to go to the swings before it got dark. I watched him move with steady steps, like nothing could push him off balance. I told myself he was acting. I told myself he was trying to make me look bad on purpose. I told myself he was gathering sympathy. But when I looked back at Nora, she was smiling like she had finally been chosen for a role. And for the first time, I felt something close to fear that I could not name as stress or loneliness. It felt like a consequence walking toward me, slow and sure. The next morning, the house felt like it had rules I did not write. Ethan woke up before me. I heard the shower, then the soft sound of a drawer closing. When I walked into the kitchen, his mug was already on the far counter, away from mine. 2 mugs, 2 sides. It looked small, but it made my chest tight. He asked if I slept well. I said yes. He asked if I remembered the kids' school forms. I said I would handle it. He said, okay, like he did not care. I wanted him to care. I wanted him to ask more questions so I could call him controlling. Instead, he packed lunches without a speech. Milo ate slow. He kept looking at Ethan, like he was checking if Dad was still Dad. Sadie hummed and kicked her feet, but she held her rabbit tight. I told myself kids were fine. I told myself they did not understand anything. I also saw Milo's eyes, and I knew he understood more than I wanted. In the car, Milo asked if Dad was mad. I said Dad was stressed from work. I added that Dad sometimes acted cold when he felt pressure. I said it like I was helping Milo understand. Really, I was training my own child to doubt his father. At the school drop-off line, Ethan stayed in the passenger seat because he said he needed to check his schedule. His phone screen lit up with a calendar. I saw a reminder again. Meeting, personal. The time was early, like 8:30 a.m. I pretended not to notice. He noticed me noticing. He did not hide it fast. He just turned the screen down and said he would be right back. After Milo got out, Ethan asked if I could come inside with him for 1 minute. I said I did not have time. He said it would be quick. His voice was flat, not angry, and that made it worse. We walked in anyway. The teacher asked if everything at home was okay, because Milo had been quiet. Ethan said Milo might be tired. I said kids go through phases. The teacher looked between us, like she was trying to read our faces. I smiled too much. Back in the car, Ethan asked why the teacher sounded worried. I said teachers always overreact. He asked if Milo had heard us argue. I said we did not argue. Then I added that if Milo felt tension, it was because Ethan brought stress home. Ethan stared forward and did not answer. I drove to daycare to drop Sadie. She clung to my sweater and asked if Dad would pick her up. I said maybe. She asked why maybe. I said Dad was busy. I hated how normal that lie sounded in my mouth. It was like breathing. On the way home, I checked my phone at a red light. There was another missed call with no caller ID. One ring again. I told myself it was nothing. Still, my fingers got cold. When I walked into the house, I noticed the guest bed looked slightly disturbed, like someone had slept there. Ethan had not said he moved. I told myself he did it to punish me. I told myself he wanted me to feel guilty. I did not ask him directly, because I did not want an answer I could not control. In the afternoon, Milo's school called. They said Milo had a stomachache and wanted to go home. I drove back to the pickup line feeling annoyed, not scared. That is hard to admit, but it is true. I felt annoyed because his pain interrupted my day. I framed it as stress from Ethan, because that made it easier. Milo sat in the back seat with his forehead against the window. He asked if I was mad at him. I said no, and I said he was fine. He said his stomach hurt more when Dad was quiet. I said Dad was quiet because Dad was tired. Then I said something worse. I said Dad's silence was a kind of anger. Milo went quiet after that, like I had given him a label he could not remove. At home, Milo lay on the couch with a blanket. I called Ethan and told him Milo was sick. Ethan asked what happened. I said Milo had stressed stomach, and I hinted it was because Ethan was always away. Ethan asked if Milo had eaten anything strange. I said no. Ethan said he would come home early if he could. I said he did not have to, like I was being kind. I was not being kind. I was trying to look like the calm parent. When Ethan got home, he did not rush in loud. He washed his hands and checked Milo's forehead. He asked Milo where it hurt. Milo pointed near his ribs. Ethan said we should be safe and get him checked. I said it was just anxiety. Ethan said anxiety still mattered. That line made me angry because it sounded like good parenting. We went to the pediatric clinic. The waiting room smelled like disinfectant and old magazines. A baby cried behind a curtain. Milo leaned against Ethan's arm, not mine. That should have hurt me in a normal way. Instead, it made me defensive. I told myself Ethan was buying loyalty with quiet hero behavior. The nurse asked basic questions. Ethan answered with facts. I answered with feelings. I said Milo was sensitive and the home had been tense. The nurse asked what made it tense. I said Ethan worked too much and it made everyone sad. Ethan looked at me once, then looked away again. He did not correct me. He did not embarrass me. He let me speak. In the car afterward, Ethan asked why I told the nurse our home was tense. I said I was being honest. He asked if I was honest with him too. I said he was trying to trap me with words. I said I did not feel safe when he questioned me, like an investigator. Ethan's jaw tightened, but he stayed calm. He said he was not trapping me. He said he needed clarity for the kids. That evening, Janet called. She asked how Milo was. I said he was okay. She asked if she could take the kids for a night so Ethan and I could rest. I said she was trying to take Ethan's side. Janet said it was not about sides. She said it was about stability. I told her stability was hard when Ethan chose work over family. Janet got quiet, then said she hoped we would do the right thing. I ended the call fast. I called my mum next. Darlene asked what was going on. I said Ethan was acting strange and cold and people were judging me. Darlene said neighbors loved gossip. She said men loved playing victim when they got challenged. She told me to hold my head high. I let her words push away my guilt, like a blanket over a mess. Then Cara asked if she could come by. I agreed because I needed an ally, or at least someone to dump my story on. At her apartment, the air smelled like candles and clean laundry. Cara looked straight at me and asked if I was cheating. I said she was being cruel. She said she was being real. She said she had seen my face at the BBQ, and it looked caught. I told her Ethan pushed me away first. I told her he made me lonely. Cara asked if loneliness gave me permission to lie. I said she was judging me like a stranger. She said she was trying to save me from myself. I laughed and said she was jealous because I still had options. Cara's eyes watered, and she said I sounded like someone she did not recognize. When I got home, Ethan was in the living room with his laptop open. I smelled faint toner, like something had been printed earlier. A printer sat on the side table with a blank page half fed out, like it had started and stopped. Ethan closed the laptop when I walked in. He asked how Cara was. I said she was dramatic. He nodded again, like he was collecting the shape of my answers. I went to the kitchen for water. I heard a soft click from the hallway, like a locked drawer being shut. When I turned, Ethan was near the cabinet with his keys in his hand. There was a new key on the ring, bright and unused. He saw me looking and asked if I needed anything. I said no. My phone buzzed then. The message was from an unknown number. It was short. It said, "Someone hated lies in this neighborhood, and truth always found a way." I stared at the screen until my eyes hurt, and I told myself it was harassment, not consequence. But my hand still shook when I set the phone down. I spent the next day building a story in my head, the way some people built budgets. I measured words. I chose who heard what. I told myself it was protection. I told myself Ethan had been collecting sympathy, so I needed to collect it first. In the morning, Ethan moved through the house like a guest. He did not take my mug by accident. He did not stand too close. He packed Milo's lunch and cut Sadie's fruit into small pieces. He asked Milo about a spelling test. Milo answered quietly. I watched all of it and felt angry, like his calm was stealing my role. I tried to poke him into reacting. I asked why he slept in the guest room. He said he needed rest. I asked if he was trying to make me look bad. He said he was trying to keep the house steady for the kids. I asked what that meant. He said it meant less conflict. I told him he was punishing me with silence. He said he was not punishing anyone. He left for work with the same steady steps. I stood at the window and waited for the relief that usually came. It did not come. Instead, I kept thinking about the unknown number and Nora's smile. I kept seeing the saved camera clip in my mind, like it was still playing. Around noon, My mum called again. Darlene asked if Ethan had finally apologized. I said he had not. I said he acted like a saint to make me feel crazy. She told me men did that when they lost control of a woman. She said I should speak up in front of the family so nobody could twist the story later. I liked that. It felt like strategy. It felt like power. So I planned a dinner. I picked a family restaurant with a long table and bright lights, a place where people could hear each other and see faces clearly. I told myself I wanted support. Really, I wanted witnesses. I wanted a stage where Ethan could not be quiet without looking guilty. I texted Janet and Ray, and I told them I missed them and wanted everyone together. I texted my mom and Kara too. Kara replied with a short message asking if this was a trap. I said it was just dinner. She did not answer after that. I told myself she would still come because family always came. I was wrong, but I did not admit that yet. That evening, Ethan came home and changed his shirt. He did it without asking me anything. He did not ask where we were going. He just got the kids' jackets and checked Sadie's shoes. It bothered me how normal he looked, like his life still belonged to him. In the car, I tried again. I asked if he was going to embarrass me in front of his parents. He asked what I meant. I said he had been acting cold and it made people talk. He said people talked because people like noise. He asked if we could keep it calm for the kids. I said I always kept it calm, and he was the one creating tension. He did not argue. He just drove. The restaurant smelled like fried food and sweet sauce. The table was long enough to make distance feel natural. Janet and Ray were already there, with water glasses in front of them. My mum arrived next with a bright smile and a loud voice. She hugged me hard and looked at Ethan like he had already been found guilty. Janet asked how Milo was after the clinic. I said Milo was sensitive and picked up on energy. I looked at Ethan while I said it, so everyone would connect the dots I wanted. Ethan said Milo seemed better today. He said he had practiced spelling with him. Janet nodded like she believed the facts more than my tone. Ray asked Ethan how work was. Ethan said it was busy. My mum jumped in and asked why he was always busy. Ethan said he was covering shifts. My mum asked if he thought money was love. Ethan said he thought stability mattered. My mum laughed in a sharp way and said stability also meant being present. Ethan said he agreed. The kids colored on the paper menus. Sadie dropped a crayon, and Ethan picked it up without a sigh. Milo kept his shoulders tight, like he was holding a secret in his ribs. Kara did not come. I checked my phone twice and felt heat rise behind my eyes. It felt like betrayal. I told myself she was choosing Ethan. Then I told myself that meant I should go harder so nobody else drifted away. When the food came, I pushed the talk where I wanted it. I asked Ethan, in front of everyone, why he kept acting like a stranger at home. He said he was tired and trying to avoid conflict. I asked why he avoided conflict if he had done nothing wrong. Janet's eyebrows lifted. Ray stayed quiet. My mom said Ethan's silence felt like punishment. I nodded fast. I said he made me feel watched. Ethan looked at me and asked what I meant by watched. I said he asked about my location too much. I said he acted like I was not allowed to have friends. I did not say I turned my location off. I did not say why. Janet asked if Ethan had ever yelled or threatened me. Ethan looked surprised at the question. He said he had not. My mum said a man did not need to yell to control someone. She said coldness could be controlled too. I felt thankful for her because she made my story sound serious. Ethan asked me, very calmly, if I wanted to talk privately later. I said no. I said I was tired of private talks where he twisted my words. He said he did not twist my words. I said he did, and I said he was doing it right now by acting calm. I heard myself and thought it sounded smart. I did not notice how childish it also sounded. Janet looked at me and asked if I was okay. I said I was strong and had been strong for a long time. I said I carried the home. Ethan's mouth tightened slightly, then relaxed. He did not defend himself. He cut Milo's chicken into smaller pieces. That calm made me feel smaller than any insult could. My mum asked Ethan why he did not fight for me more. Ethan asked what fighting meant. My mum said it meant showing passion. Ethan said passion did not fix trust. He said the kids needed steadiness. He said he wanted peace in the home. I leaned forward and said peace felt like being ignored. Ethan looked at me and asked if I wanted attention or partnership. The question hit too close. I felt my face heat up. I said he was being rude. I said he was embarrassing me with therapy words. Ray finally spoke. He said we should not do this at the table. My mum rolled her eyes and said families talked at tables. Janet said kids were listening. I looked at Milo, and he had stopped colouring. His eyes were on Ethan's hands, not my face. After dinner, we walked to the parking lot under bright streetlights. The air felt thin and cold. Janet kissed the kids and told them she loved them. She told Ethan to call her if he needed anything. She did not say it loudly, but I heard it. My chest tightened again. Support was shifting. In the car, I started talking fast. I said his parents believed I was the problem. I said he had been working on them. Ethan asked how he could work on them if he barely spoke. I said his silence was a message. He asked if I could stop turning everything into a performance. I said I was not performing. I was surviving his coldness. When we got home, Milo went straight to his room without asking for a story. Sadie asked if Dad was mad. Ethan told her he was not mad, and he said he loved her. Sadie nodded but still looked unsure. Ethan stood in the hallway near the smart lock and the small camera light. He asked if we could make basic agreements about schedules and money for the kids. He said it would keep things stable. I laughed and asked if he was trying to threaten me with paperwork. He said he was not threatening me. He said he was trying to be responsible. I told him he was being dramatic. I told him he was acting like I had done something horrible, when he was the one who abandoned me with work. Ethan looked at me for a long moment. Then he said, quietly and clearly, that he would handle it properly. I thought Ethan's properly line was just a mood. The next morning, I went to the office like normal and told myself I could outtalk anything. I wore a neat blouse and practiced my calm face in the elevator mirror. I said I was still the good one in this story. At lunch, my manager asked me to come down to the lobby for a minute. I asked if it was about a client file. She said it was about a personal matter and that I should handle it quickly. My stomach tightened, but I walked like I owned the floor. In the glass lobby, I saw Ethan near a pillar by the reception desk. He was not angry. He looked clean and tired, like someone who had finally slept. A man in a plain jacket stood beside him with a folder. And then I saw Nora Hensley near the coffee kiosk, holding her phone like she was waiting for a show. I asked Ethan why he was here. He said he was doing it the correct way. I asked if he came to scare me at work. He said he came, so it was clear and documented. I said he was trying to embarrass me. He said he was trying to protect the kids and the house. The man stepped forward and asked my name. I said it, and my voice sounded smaller than I wanted. He said he had documents for me. I refused to take them at first, and I asked if this was even real. He said it was real, and that refusal did not stop service. I grabbed the papers and scanned the top page. I saw the word divorce, and my mouth went dry. I saw temporary orders listed in plain language, a parenting schedule starting immediately, limits on spending above normal bills, and rules about the home and exchanges. I looked up and asked Ethan if he had been planning this. He said he had been planning stability. I said Nora was behind it, and I said this was a setup. Ethan said Nora was not the issue. He said the issue was the pattern. He said there were smart lock logs, porch camera clips, timestamps, and messages that matched days he was working. He said there were witnesses, and he did not have to argue with my feelings. My manager asked if I needed a room to sit in. I said no, but my hands shook. The server said the orders were effective today. Ethan nodded once, told me to keep it respectful for the kids, and walked out without looking back.